Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Chicago Fire. Joe Cruz's brother has a touching connection to the late Otis. Joe Cruz, Joe Minoso, was the unexpected star of Chicago Fire's fall final. The character took center stage with a subplot that involved his younger brother and the relative of a gang member he failed to save during season 1. It's been a long time since fans have gotten to see Joe Cruz's brother, Leon, Jeff Lima. He was a consistent presence throughout season 1, but he has only made sporadic appearances since then. He dropped by for single-episode cameos in seasons 7 and 8, and his return in the season 13 fall finale marks his first appearance since the birth of Cruz's son. Leon Cruz may have limited screen time within the show, but he shares an important connection with a beloved Chicago Fire character, Otis, Yuri Sardarov. These two men have played very crucial roles in Cruz's life, be it away from the firehouse or in it. As such, they were the two that came to mind when Cruz was naming his son. Cruz's first child is named Brian Leon Cruz. The Brian is a reference to Otis' first name, and Leon is pretty self-explanatory. It's a sweet way to tribute both characters, and remind the viewer that Cruz considered, in the case of Otis, them to be his closest friends. Leon's return to Chicago Fire in season 13 will provide a fascinating addendum to his character arc. He was able to leave the street gang known as the Insane Kings thanks to Cruz's help. His return denotes a return to the danger that he was initially in, however, due to the emergence of Junior Polanco. Richard Cabral Jr. is the cousin of Flaco, Joe's Antonio Garcia, the man who refused to let Leon leave the Insane Kings. He stood by and watched as Flaco got trapped in a building fire, and Cruz left Flaco to die. He wants revenge, and Leon's re-emergence could put him in harm's way yet again. The second half of season 13 will mark the first time Leon and Cruz have interacted on-screen since the latter became a father. Things have changed since their last encounter with the Insane Kings, and it'll be interesting to see whether Cruz saves the day yet again or Leon steps up and returns the favor his brother did for him in season 1. We cannot wait to find out which occurs. Joe Cruz stared at the framed photo on the firehouse wall. It was a candid snapshot of Otis, grinning ear to ear, holding up a burger nearly as big as his head during one of their infamous firehouse cookouts. The laughter, the banter, the quiet moments of camaraderie, they were all encapsulated in that one image. Cruz felt the familiar pang in his chest, a mixture of grief and gratitude. It had been years since Otis passed, but his presence lingered in Firehouse 51. His name still came up in stories, his laugh echoed in their memories, and his legacy was stitched into the very fabric of their team. And now, Otis was finding his way into Cruz's life in a way he hadn't expected, through his younger brother Leon. Leon had returned to Chicago a few months ago after years of trying to piece his life together post-gang life. Cruz had been both thrilled and apprehensive. Leon had come a long way, but the shadows of his past were never far behind. Cruz wanted to protect him, to keep him on the straight and narrow. What he hadn't expected was Leon finding his own path through the memories of someone he'd barely known. It started one evening when Cruz came home to find Leon sitting on the couch, a pile of books spread out before him. Cruz raised an eyebrow. "Didn't know you were such a bookworm," he teased, dropping his bag by the door. Leon shrugged, but there was a faint smile on his face. "These aren't just any books. They're Otis's." Cruz froze. "What?" "I was helping Herman clean out the storage room at Molly's," Leon explained. "We came across this box labeled Otis. Herman said I could look through it. Thought it might be nice to keep some of his stuff in the family, you know." Cruz sank into the chair opposite Leon, his eyes scanning the titles. Chicago, A History of Skyscrapers, The Science of Beer Brewing, and The Firefighter's Almanac were just a few of the eclectic mix. "He had quite the collection," Cruz murmured. Leon nodded. "He was into some cool stuff. Did you know he was learning Russian history? Like, really into it?" Cruz chuckled, a bittersweet sound. "Yeah, Otis had his quirks. He could talk your ear off about the most random things." Leon picked up a worn paperback. "This one's about vintage cameras. I've been reading it, and I don't know Joe. It's like I'm getting to know him. Even though we didn't hang out much, it's like he's teaching me things. Cruz didn't know what to say. It was the first time he'd seen Leon so absorbed in something that wasn't a struggle. He didn't want to disrupt the moment. Over the next few weeks, Leon's connection to Otis deepened. He started visiting Molly's more often, chatting with Herman and Mouch, asking them to share stories about Otis. Each tale painted a fuller picture of the man Cruz had called his best friend. Leon learned about Otis's endless optimism, his stubborn streak, and his unwavering loyalty. One evening, Leon approached Cruz with an idea. "I think I want to start a project in Otis's memory." Cruz tilted his head. "What kind of project?" "A documentary," Leon said, his eyes lighting up. "Otis loved filming, right? And he loved Chicago. I've been messing around with this old camera I found in the box, and it gave me an idea. I want to make a short film about the firehouse, about what it means to be a firefighter, and dedicate it to him." Cruz felt a lump in his throat. "Leon, that's incredible." Leon scratched the back of his head, a bit sheepish. "I mean, I'm no professional or anything, but I think it'd be cool. I could interview you guys, show what it's like to be part of this family." "Otis would have liked that, right?" "He would have loved it," Cruz said, his voice thick with emotion. The project quickly became a labor of love. Leon threw himself into it, spending hours at the firehouse filming everything from the controlled chaos of training drills to the quiet moments between shifts. He interviewed the team, capturing their candid reflections on Otis and what he meant to them. When Leon sat Cruz down for his interview, Cruz hesitated. "I don't know if I can do this." "Just talk to me," Leon said softly. "Like you're telling Otis a story." Cruz took a deep breath. He was my brother. Not by blood, but in every way that mattered. He had this way of making you believe in the good in people, even when you couldn't see it yourself. Losing him, it left a hole in all of us. But seeing you do this, Leon, it's like he's still here. Like he's still inspiring us." Leon nodded, his eyes glistening. "That's the idea." The premiere of Leon's documentary was held at Molly's. The firehouse was packed, the air buzzing with anticipation. As the film played, laughter and tears filled the room. Leon had captured not just the essence of Otis, but the heart of Firehouse 51. When the credits rolled, Leon stood up, his voice shaking slightly as he addressed the crowd. "This was for Otis, but it was also for all of you. Thank you for letting me be part of this family." Cruz couldn't have been prouder. In honoring Otis, Leon had found a purpose, a connection that bridged the past and the present. And in doing so, he reminded everyone that while loss leaves scars, it also leaves legacies. Otis's legacy wasn't just in the stories they told or the photos on the wall. It was alive in the way they lived, the bonds they forged, and the hope they carried forward. As Cruz hugged his brother that night, he whispered, "Otis would have been proud of you." Leon smiled, a tear slipping down his cheek. "I hope so, Joe, I really hope so."